Thank you. This is the Public Works and Transportation Committee. This meeting is now called to order. This is Public Work and Transportation Committee meeting for Monday, June the 17th. I'm the chairperson, Councilwoman Xanthi Alva for the 3rd District. At this time, I will call a roll for those members of the committee first. Councilman Vince White. I know he said he was running late coming from Philly. Councilwoman Latrice Bracy.
Present.
Council Member Nathan Field. Council Member Brigida Fields. Council Member Brigida Fields. Council Member James Spadola.
Present.
Council Member President Trippy Congo. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions in seconds. Okay, with that, get started. Okay, with that, we can get started with ordinance 24035. Someone here to speak regarding?
Good afternoon. My name is Brett Taylor. Thank you, Chairperson Oliver, for having us here. What I'd like to do is present today a request to approve a multi-year contract for 3 years with Passport Labs. This is for our parking services. Currently, we have parking services under a company by the name of Conduit. It has had many iterations over the years. The last time I believe that it was put out to bid was in 2017 was the last contract. We had an extension of that contract 3 years ago. We saw it fit that Conduit had this long-standing contract with the City of Wilmington that we felt it was an appropriate time to go out into the public marketplace and be able to see if there are any other companies out there that could provide the same services. We were lucky enough to be able to find a company that it was actually, we had received, I believe, 6 bids. We received a proposal from a company, Passport Labs, that would provide these services to us at a considerably reduced cost. Last year, we spent approximately $2 million in these parking services activities. The monthly cost for that, just on the flat fee alone for Conduit, was approximately $140,000. Our current Passport proposal has it at approximately half of that, which is about $70,000 a month. So we're going to be able to cut our costs considerably. I'm estimating that we would cut it between 30 to 40%, depending on the amount of activity. All of the Passport contract will include all the services that we had under the Conduit contract, which was when PRIOs provide a ticket, that ticket database goes to Passport Services. They will be responsible for sending out notifications to all of the violators to be able to pay. They'll provide payment services. They will provide a call center customer service number. They will also provide booting services. They will do the license plate reader services that we have currently at the under the Conduit contract. So we would like to have a 3-year contract approved for Passport. Now there's going to be a slight break-in period. Once this contract gets approved, we will have approximately 3 months to bring Passport on fully. We're going to run concurrently with Conduit until such time as we feel that Passport has sufficiently accepted all of the implementation requirements by the City of Wilmington. We won't go live until we're absolutely sure that this system is going to work for us. So with that said, I think that this is going to be a very, very good opportunity for us, a very good cost-saving measure. We want to get re-engaged with the customers. We feel that Passport can provide some great customer service. So we're looking forward to having them come on board.
Thank you. So as you stated, it's going to be a 30% to 40% savings for the City of Wilmington.
Correct.
Okay, I'd like to acknowledge Councilmember Nathan Field and Councilmember Michelle Harley. Okay, do we have any questions from committee members first? Have any questions from council members? Councilmember Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say that I think that it's always a good thing when we are implementing any kind of new contracts or any type of initiatives that's going to be a cost savings. So kudos for that, because of course, we were always trying to save our residents as much money as possible for us to be able to, use those dollars and fundings in other places. So that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more comments from council members? Are there any comments from individual?
Madam Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember James Badol, I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. So will the city have any other contracts ongoing with Conduent, or are we cutting ties with them?
We will still have the red light camera safety program. This is the red light camera intersection enforcement program. That contract is currently we've asked for a 1-year extension so that we may be able to rebid that contract this year, starting July 1st. That one's a little more complicated. It'll take a little bit more time for us to get bids in, and since there is a lot to do with intersections and having to put them up in those intersections for a new vendor, it may take us a little extra time, but Conduit does still have the red light camera program.
Thank you. And I have a follow-up, Madam Chair, if I could.
Sure, follow up.
Do you think, based on your due diligence with Passport, do you expect them to be a little more user-friendly for the end consumer in terms of whether it's people on the receiving end or just preventing any of the parking issues that pop up time to time with Conduit?
We are optimistic that this is going to be a better consumer experience. We feel that this particular company is a lot more nimble than Conduit. Plus, considering that they are new to the city of Wilmington, I think that there's an opportunity for us to encourage them to be a little more consumer friendly. We do recognize that was an issue with the Conduit contract, and we're hoping to rectify that. But as I said, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to go live until we're absolutely sure that everything is in place for the consumer to have a seamless experience.
Thank you.
Okay, we have no more questions, and this is an ordinance. Is there a motion to move this out of committee because it's an ordinance? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Someone want to second it?
Second.
It's been properly moved in second. This ordinance, vote this ordinance out of committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this ordinance will be on agenda 6/20/24.
We thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 024034. A substitute, yeah, it's a substitute ordinance, the 24034 for chapter 11. I know you know this stuff like the back of your hands. Okay.
Thank you.
No, just go
Okay,
ahead,
I'm
just speak to.
Brian Lennon, Assistant Water Division Director for the Department of Public Works. And this ordinance is to revise our pre-treatment code and city code to allow for us to remain in compliance with our pre-treatment regulations and our NPDES permit, which governs the operation of the wastewater treatment plant.
Is there any fiscal impact?
There will be no physical impact.
Okay. This is pretty much housekeeping?
It's
What I see you
the
amend-
general process, and if we want to pass on the presentation, that's fine. I'll just give you just a rough description. The pretreatment program is intended to help the operators of the wastewater treatment plant remain in compliance with our permit and protect the environment. The wastewater treatment plant acts kind of like a gatekeeper between the city and the county users and the environment to protect the environment. And so we implement the pretreatment program to instruct most specifically our industrial users as to what they're allowed to do in terms of discharging pollutants to the sewer system and then that be received by the wastewater treatment plant. And we've gone through a study with our consultants to determine what the capacity of the wastewater treatment plant is to accept those pollutants and how much of each of those pollutants that the industrial users can discharge to the system and not violate any permits or harm the environment or harm the safe working environment for the workers at the wastewater treatment plant.
Well, I've been down to the water treatment plant, and I see the work y'all do down there, keeping the water clean. Do we have any questions from anyone from the committee? Do we have any questions from anyone from the general public? Huh? Okay, this is an ordinance. It needs to be moved out of committee. Do we have anyone to move a motion to move this out of committee?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and second. This ordinance is voted out of committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this substitute ordinance will be on the agenda on 7/3/24. Next ordinance is a resolution to, where is it? Okay. Resolution approving the city's application for 5 renewal downtown development district.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. We're here with a resolution to renew our downtown development district application for a 5-year renewal plan. Just for your information, this program has been very successful. The city has benefited, and we have about 4 or 5 slides to present. But first, I'd like to introduce everybody who's here with us. To my right is John Kurth, who's going to speak and has been actively involved for the past 8 years. Deputy Director Elliot Larkin has also been participating and instrumental in putting together the presentation. I don't know if Sean's here. Sean Park, our Economic Development Director in the back, who's been a part of it as well. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to John to kind of go through the slides, kind of speak a little bit about the Downtown Development District. John?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of City Council, and members of the general public. Next slide, please. So here we have a key milestone graph here showing on January 11th, 2015, the city of Wilmington was one of the first 3 downtown development district municipalities to be accepted into the program. And over the years, we've been able to expand our boundaries. We started at about 225 acres. We were able to add about 25 acres in 2019. 2023, some of you may remember, we extended the boundary a little further along the North Market Street corridor. And July 1st, 2024, we are going to submit our application for an extension for 5 years. So the original 10-year ordinance or program through the Delaware State Housing Authority sunsets in January 1st, 2025. So the first 3 cities need to reapply for the downtown development district extension. That'll run for about for 5 years. And then the program is anticipated to run for another 5 years up until 2035. Next slide, please. So you can see in this graph, or chart, I should say, that Wilmington's highlighted. We have almost 90 projects that have utilized this rebate, 20% rebate. You see the second column, the rebate itself, $24.5 million, but that's generated $436 million, almost $437 million in direct economic impact in terms of projects being completed, et cetera. So it's been very successful. I think you can see we're the heaviest user, of the program, and we have a lot of very successful projects, large ones, small ones, mixed use, residential. So it's been just as Jeff said, a very good program for the city of Wilmington. Next slide, please. So here you see the boundaries outlined in red. We're at just about maximum. We're at 274.6 out of 275 allowable acres. So we're not going to be adjusting our boundaries or anything like that. We're just going to lay out to the Office of State Planning Coordination, who supervises this program along with the Delaware State Housing Authority. We're just going to lay out our new plan, our 5-year plan, which builds off of the 10-year plan, which was accepted and has been very successful. And I believe that is the last slide.
So as you can see, the program's been very successful. Hopefully, it invigorates some of the residential as well. Obviously, commercial is doing really well. So our goal is to kind of focus in on the residential side. So hopefully we can get this, our application in by July 1st. So with that, we'll answer any questions that you may have, unless you have anything you want to add. All right. Any
Okay.
questions?
Do we have any questions from committee members? Any committee members? Okay. Councilwoman Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So what is the scope of this particular legislation? What is the scope, the boundaries?
Well, I mean, they're outlined on the map. I mean, there's east side's part of it. We just expanded north, in the northeast section of the city of Wilmington, where we went from 24th Street up to 30th Market down to Jessup.
Okay, so is this piece of legislation, is everything downtown and inclusive of these additional boundaries or areas that you just mentioned? So for an example, the downtown district that I'm familiar with, which involves the downtown visions, is this the same piece of legislation or is that something different?
It's a part of it. It's not a part of downtown vision, but it's part of the original application, which included downtown. Most of downtown is included in this renewal application. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and on your first slide, if you could go back, follow up, Madam Chair.
Sure. This is basically talking about the extension for Market Street from 20th. It's the regular downtown district, but they really extending it up to Market Street, just so you know. But the slide is up.
Yeah, I mean, West
Yeah.
Center City, East Side are in it, in downtown. Then we went up to north of Market Street, up to 30th Street.
Which is great because it's definitely, a great initiative and it has served, our city well. You mentioned on the chart about, I think it was 44 projects. I think that's the chart I was trying to get to, not this one, where you show the dollar amount for Wilmington out of all the municipalities.
That's slide number 3.
Right there.
Yeah, okay. So the large projects are 44. Mr. Starkey, can you send me what those projects are for the 4th District?
Certainly.
Okay. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. Any more questions? Anyone from the public? Somebody's hands raised? No hands. Oh, good. Okay. This.
And I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Sure. Okay, this is a resolution, so it doesn't have to be moved out of committee, but it will be on the agenda for 6:20.
I'd like to thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the City Council for supporting this application. It's an excellent program. It's basically free money for the city for reinvestment, so.
Thank you. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next, we have a resolution, House Bill 422, relating to the environment permits of a burden for communities. Someone here to speak regarding this resolution?
If no one is there to speak to it, I can speak to it, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so first of all, I want to say that I really appreciate State Rep Kendra Johnson, who is the sponsor for HB 422. I want to start there. This particular bill is going to address an issue that is long overdue as it relates to environmental issues, especially in low-income communities. As we all know, when the Noramco situation had come about, when they had filed for the permit to add a new production line, to their manufacturing process, there was a lot of conversations, there was a lot of meetings, even Councilmember Oliver, both of us, was galvanized in the community. There was a lot of uproar and a lot of concern. And I will tell you that had this bill been enacted, the outcome of Noramco getting their permit could have been differently, because this is definitely going to deal with a cumulative impact, meaning that they're going to look at the number of impact as it relates to the air quality of the whole area and not singular permits as they come in. So this resolution is basically just urging the members of the Delaware General Assembly to support this bill and to enact Title VII of the code relating to environmental permits in overburdened communities, which will amend again Title VII of the Delaware Code by creating a new DENREC greater flexibility when considering environmental permit applications in overburdened, low-income, and minority communities with greater historical exposure to hazardous facilities. So we know Route 9 definitely would fall in line, with this particular bill. And like I said, the outcome of the Noramco could have been, I'm not saying it would have, but it definitely would have been probably more challenging. So that's pretty much what this resolution is basically urging the members of the General Assembly to support this bill.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from committee members? Do we have any questions from non-committee members?
No hands raised.
Do we have any questions from individuals from the public?
No hands raised.
Okay. I think this is a good piece of legislation. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. And this is a resolution, so it doesn't have to be voted out of committee. Next, we have a resolution for Department of Public Works. Somebody speaking.
Oh.
Thank you, sir.
I do have a presentation that shows the location of where the grant is for. If we can bring the Coastal Zone Management Grant from the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration up. And if we have any trouble with that, I can just present on this. Essentially, this is a grant that the city has applied for in partnership with DENREC, the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, to do a study for creating a similar project to our South Bridge Wilmington Wetland Project, which would be the restoration of wetland habitat over on the east side of South Bridge, at where the Norfolk Southern Railroad tracks cross over the Christina Avenue. And we would do a study to evaluate the feasibility of restoring a couple of parcels that are adjacent to the railroad, restoring that wetland habitat to a vibrant wetland habitat that would also have the functionality to help reduce flooding to the location, promote a natural environment for the community to go visit, similar to the Southbridge Wilmington Wetland Park, and also reduce mosquito population in the community of Southbridge. The grant is for $333,000 approximately. I think it's a little bit more than that. And there is no local match required on behalf of the city.
Okay, that's will be on the 7th Street Peninsula, correct?
No, this is not on the 7th Street Peninsula. This is in the South Wilmington,
Okay, I
to
see
the
it.
east of
Wrong.
Southbridge.
Okay, that's over in Councilman Harley's, and they do have some issues with the mosquitoes over there. You're talking about the other side, I'm sorry. Okay, do we have any questions from committee members?
None.
Do we have any questions from non-committee members?
Yes, Councilwoman Hartley has her.
Councilman Harley, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm also excited about this grant that's being presented tonight. As it has already been stated, is basically going to continue the work that has already been started on the wetlands. And I'm excited about the benefits that it's going to be to the South Wilmington and Southbridge residents. And again, as it relates to the mosquitoes, we know that that's been an issue, although we have been working on that, meeting with DEMREC regarding doing different testings and studies to try to understand, what is the root cause. We know that this grant is going to provide even more opportunities for the community as it relates to reducing flooding, in terms of the ecological restoration, and definitely deal with improving the water quality and flooding. So basically, the resolution is authorizing the Department of Public Works to accept this grant of $333,558 to support the wetlands designs for the restoration and enhancement of 12.7 acres of the degraded wetland habitat along the Christina River in the Southbridge community. And like it has already been stated, there's no negative fiscal impact to the city, but it's all good, great benefits to the residents. And this is a great piece of legislation simply because it's free money. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Hardy. I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. I too think this is overdue, and I'm glad y'all still working on projects. Do we have any other questions from council members or non-council members?
No,
Any questions from anyone from the public?
no, Madam Chair.
Okay, it's a resolution. It doesn't have to be moved out. It will be on the agenda on 7/3. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next ordinance, resolution approving Office of Economic Development.
This
Or is
is a grant opportunity that Public Works and Economic Development have partnered on. It is to study the 7th Street Peninsula and the flooding that occurs there and look at proposed options to address the flooding. Included in those options that'll be evaluated would be shoreline measures that would protect the 7th Street Peninsula from inundation, along with a living shoreline that would promote ecological habitat for the river environment along the 7th Street Peninsula. It will evaluate the conditions that result from flooding in the river, and the measures that are proposed to address them, and make sure that the flooding doesn't create any conditions that would make flooding any other location worse, as well as make sure that the proposed measures don't result in unintended consequences like increased erosion along the shoreline and any other locations. And this grant is a $100,000 project. $50,000 would be provided by the Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control under their surface water management grant. And economic development has generously contributed the remaining $50,000.
I think this is good, because I've been back there when it was flooded and the cars were just, had to back up, so there's a lot of flooding back there, so that's good that y'all gonna, look at,
I
the 7th
would-
Street Peninsula.
Note, just to make sure that it doesn't get confused, that the city does have, I believe it's a TIF grant from the Department of Transportation to raise the elevation of 7th Street on the 7th Street Peninsula. This is not connected with that source of funding.
Okay.
But we will take the information about what they're doing with that grant and incorporate it into our study.
No, I just wanted to let you know I was aware of the flooding back there. I noticed it. I know it was something different. I just was mentioning that. Do anyone have any questions from the committee?
No hands raised.
Anyone from non-committee members? Anyone from the public?
No hands raised.
Okay, it's a resolution. It will be on the agenda 7-3.
Thank you.
Good job. Okay, next we have a resolution, Public Works. Safe streets and roads. You state your name for the record, please.
Yep. Stephen Weber, I'm Director of Transportation. So I want to thank you, Madam Chair, and the fellow council members of this committee. The resolution here is for Safe Streets for All. The resolution is to enable the city of Wilmington to receive a $200,000 grant that received a year ago from the United States Department of Transportation. The grant is known as the Safe Streets for All. The grant awarded is for an action plan to have roads, bikeways, and pedestrian access safer, and is to move to a Vision Zero goal, which is to eliminate fatalities within these program areas. An action plan has already been completed through the Newcastle County, and what we're trying to do is to incorporate that action plan that has already been approved and use that as to piggyback into just for the city of Wilmington for this grant, and hopefully we can utilize not all that money for an action plan, but take some that was already been done and to use the extra money that we can get from the federal government to say, hey, there's already action plan approved, and we can use the extra money for implementation of things that we already looked into. So that's the basis of this whole thing. So if there's any other questions regarding the Safe Streets for All program, I'm available for any
Is
other
there
questions.
any financial impact?
There is a $500,000 match that we have to do, but so with a lot of things in transportation, there's always a partial match anyway, so.
Do we have any questions from committee members?
No, Madam Chair.
Do we have any questions from non-committee members?
Councilwoman Harley has her hand up.
Councilman Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Weber, for sharing the information as it relates to Safe Streets. So when you talk about Safe Streets, would that include the safety of us synchronizing the lights on Hill Street?
That could be one of the targeted areas. Again, it's more or less an overall application. So we haven't really gotten to any specific information yet as far as things that we're targeting. Right now, it's the implementation for this grant is for an action plan showing out where the money could be used for implementation in the future. So it's more or less a overall plan showing the ideas and points that we want to improve, such as any kind of transportation structure, and then itemize or find out where that money will be spent in the future for an implementation part.
Okay.
So it's very
thank you.
general at
That's-
this time, but then hopefully we can say we can target these areas, and that would be what the money would be used for going into a step 2 or the next phase of this grant.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for the clarity, because I know that's something that's already should be on the agenda for now. And basically what you're saying, that's the planning for this particular grant has not even started. So you pretty much answered my question. Thank you.
Okay, sure, thank you.
So, Mr. Weber, could she send you something about Southbridge, so whenever you do get to that, you can be looking at it?
Sure.
Okay,
Madam Chair.
sure, go ahead, sir.
For those that aren't on the call, how does Public Works plan to collaborate with all of council and finding out the neighborhoods that are on council's priority list to, to make safer?
Sure. We're kind of we haven't gotten to that point
No, I
yet.
get it, but
Yeah.
I mean, just in terms of like,
So,
I get we're not talking specifics, but generally
Yeah.
speaking, is there a plan to collaborate with council?
I mean, definitely my department and department heads through the mayor's office and also council members as well will have an input into what areas go in that has not already been identified in the Newcastle County Action Plan already.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great, because a lot of times, sometimes this stuff just happens, we didn't know about it, we weren't able to provide any input.
Yeah.
Because I think probably every council member could rattle off a few things that should be looked into.
Yeah, I mean, this is very generic at its base. It's just we were surprised that we got it. It was kind of just put in like, hey, why don't we apply for it? We ended up being awarded $200,000. Now we're just trying to
Awesome.
move it forward and actually get money available to us to make these plans.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There's no questions from the public. It's a resolution, so it doesn't have to be voted out. It'll be on the agenda on 7/3.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Weber. I forgot to ask we have another resolution for Department of Public Works, Department of Labor. So both state your names for the record, please.
Derek Akbar, Administrative Services Director, Public Works.
Gina Aurora, Department of Labor, Division of Employment and Training, Deputy Director.
Okay, ready.
Okay. Good evening, committee members and chairperson. This resolution is a request for the appropriation of Delaware Department of Labor funds for an on-the-job training, or the acronym OJT. Department of Public Works, in our 90-day probationary period onboarding process of new employees to Public Works, or a promotion, is synonymous with the Department of Labor OJT process. That process is developing an OJT schedule to follow during the 90-day onboarding process, and it can extend out beyond 90 days. The Department of Labor OJT process for new hires or promotional opportunities, if candidates is approved by the Department of Labor, will enable the Department of Public Works to recover 50% of the hourly wage up to the hourly wage of $25 an hour. The Department of Labor funds will go into a city grant line if this proposed resolution is approved by and passed by City Council. The captured funds from the Department of Labor will be used to help with retention of Public Works employees by offering Public Works employees training opportunities. For example, Public Works employees that are interested in obtaining a CDL A or B could be trained to test for their CDL license as funds come available from the Department of Labor. That is only one example of a training opportunity for Public Work employees. It could also be used to train up employees interested in obtaining their plant operator's license. The captured Department of Labor funds will be spent down by Public Works. Our core objective is to improve retention and develop internal talent and promote up employees when possible. Currently, we have 8 positions that require CDLs and 1 open position for plant operator. The positions are posted until filled because the candidate pool has been small and applicants that apply lack the skills to perform the required day-to-day tasks. To give you an example, we hired an individual who worked at Burger King, and that was the only experience they had. We hired them, and we did train them up to be a plant operator. So that just gives you an example of the type of onboarding and the training that goes into employees when they are hired by Public Works within that 90 days. Currently, in closing, before deciding to present this resolution to City Council, a meeting was held with HR and the labor union. The Department of Labor, Gina Aurora, presented the process and procedures at the meeting. All parties attending the meeting appeared to be satisfied. I am hopeful you will find this to be a benefit and that you will, or City Council will pass this resolution. I have Gina Aurora to the right of me, and I also want to acknowledge another one of my team members that's in this room, Denise Johnson, who is the Administrative Services Coordinator, who will be facilitating the day-to-day if this should pass. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to answer at this time. And Gina is here to answer any questions in case I missed something.
Do we have any questions from committee members?
No hands raised.
Do we have any questions from non-committee members?
Councilwoman Harley has her hand raised.
Councilman Harley?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
Sure.
I think this is great, that this is going to be able to help develop some of our residents in terms of making them more employable, to cause them to have more economic mobility. At least that's what it sounds like, you know, giving them the opportunity to do that. So that's one thing that I'm really excited about. That type of development and training is always good. I guess my main question is how will this get communicated out to the, you know, how is it going to be marketed to the community? And, you know, just so we'll know, like, I'm just curious about that.
So we would take applicants that the City of Wilmington provides, and we would determine that our Division of Employment and Training would determine eligibility. And eligibility is based on several different funding sources that we have that we can use for on-the-job training. So for instance, if they are a dislocated worker, laid off through no fault of their own, they would qualify. And there are about 10 different eligibility requirement predetermined questions that we ask to determine their eligibility. And the Division of Employment and Training would do that case management for the City of Wilmington.
Oh, okay, so you already have
wanna follow up?
I guess yes, a pipeline where you automatically will identify those particular individuals that can take advantage of the program. Is that how that's going to work?
So we use candidates from Delaware Job Link, which is the state of Delaware's main job search, job placement,
Okay.
case management system. And we also do referrals directly from City of Wilmington. So if there's someone that applies through your portal, and if it's somebody that you're interested in, you can send that directly to us, and we would ask those questions to see if they do qualify for the funding.
Great. Okay, and lastly, I just want to say again, I think this is great. A lot of times, you know, the city is doing great things and have these great opportunities, but sometimes, you know, our residents are not always, you know, made aware of these opportunities. So I just wanted to be clear on how it works. So thank you, Madam Chair. That's all I have.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Harley. I had the opportunity to sit down and speak to Mr. Derrick regarding this grant, so I asked most of my questions, but I do work with Department of Labor. I'm very familiar with both speakers, and this couldn't be any better. I think your Uncle Maurice would be happy to see this because he has always used to talk about the guys getting additional training over there. So that's good that you're going to offer the CDL license for a lot of them guys over there who really could use it. And various upgrading just for them to go to school for various license. I think this is definitely a good thing. So with Department of Labor providing this grant, and for Public Works Department to pick up on it because it's free money, I couldn't understand why we wouldn't take advantage of it, and who couldn't use some additional training. So kudos to the department for picking up on this grant. Thanks a lot. Good to see you too.
You too,
Yeah, see you all the time.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
If there's no more questions, this is a resolution, and this doesn't have to be voted out committee. It's going to be on 7-3. Thank you so much. Good seeing you too. Keep up the good work. We have another resolution. Mr. Webb, I wanted to ask you, could you send the slides over, please? Thank you. So, you can send it to Kendra so we can so I can look at the slides. Okay. We have a last piece for Councilmember Darby. Is she here pertains to towing vehicles without consent of the owner operator? Is she on the line? She's not? Okay, I don't, so we're going to, what are we doing with this? We're gonna just hold it till she speaks with, Kendra, did she call in to say anything? Okay, I'm sorry. Marshall?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would just suggest Holden, she was aware that the legislation was going to be on the agenda tonight, so.
Okay. Okay, so we'll hold this last resolution for House Bill 351 regarding towing of vehicles without consent of the owners or operators. Thank you, Marshall, appreciate that. And with that being said, we have no more legislation. So is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved in second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you. Thanks, James.
Have a good night.